All right, we are back with another video, another buy these cards now before it's too late, before they go from here to here. Buy them when they're cheap. We're going to be looking at 6 cards that I think are too cheap for what they are, and every Yu-Gi-Oh player should have these 6 cards. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're also going to be doing another giveaway. I love doing giveaways. We're going to be doing another one this time. What you got to do is you got to be subscribed, and in addition to that, you got to leave a comment letting me know which card you would most like to receive. But the thing that's a little bit different about this time is the card that you would most like to receive, that's the card you're going to get. So be subscribed, leave a comment letting me know what card that you would most like to receive out of these 6, and I am going to send you that card. It's as easy as that. I like to do a variety of different kinds of giveaways, so we've got a bunch of different ideas. The winner will be revealed on Friday's video, so stay tuned for that as well. So, before I jump into this, my name is Todd from Ko2 Cards. We're pretty new to YouTube. Only been on here for about a month, hoping to climb up to that 100 subscriber mark. So if you're interested in what we're doing, we do a lot of giveaways, or we're going to be doing a lot of giveaways on this channel. If you're interested in that, if you're interested in Yu-Gi-Oh cards that are cheap, case openings, talking about new sets and what's coming out, then maybe this is a channel you might consider subscribing to. We would love for you to be a part of this community, so consider subscribing to the channel. From there, I'm just going to move on. I'm going to tell you a little bit about these cards. They are all relatively new cards that Konami has released within the last, I would say, 6 months is what you're looking at. And they're all kind of cards that fall into that category of tech options. They are options that you could slide into pretty much any deck. They're also cards that are not currently being played or not played in most decks right now. And that is why the cost of the cards, the price of the cards is so low. Most of these cards I'm going to share with you are at the basement. They are at the bottom. They're really probably not going to go any lower than they are now. But if they do find their way into a meta, if they do start seeing play, you're going to see these cards skyrocket up. Buy them now. Have them, because they're all very good cards. They're all very useful cards. Buy them now, have them, put them in your binder. When they do find their way into a meta, you already have them. So that's what we're looking at. That's what I am interested in, is value. Again, we want to help Yu-Gi-Oh players buy cards smarter, trade for cards smarter. I want to do a couple videos on how you trade. There's right ways to trade and wrong ways to trade. We're going to be doing stuff on that as well. So I'm just going to jump right into these 6 cards that I think you should be buying right now. I'm going to bring them up on TCG and then go from there. So give me a moment right here to get that up, and here we go. All right. So the first card that I think that you should be buying right now is Spellbound. Now, when this card first came out, and it first came out in Darkwing Blast, I was selling this card for about $20 to $25. Now, it has dropped considerably in price. In fact, it is somewhere around that $5. You can see the chart on this thing. It doesn't go back to whenever I was selling this, but you can see the chart on this, how it's fluctuated quite a bit. It is at kind of a low spot. You can pick up this card for about $5.50. And you're looking at a playset for about $16 for this card. It is secret rare, first printing. That stuff matters. And this is something that Yu-Gi-Oh players oftentimes forget is, this card can sit around for months and months, maybe even a year. But when it does see meta play, the card that's going to have value is not the reprint. It's going to be the first edition secret rare. So buy it now, because you can get this first edition secret rare for $5.50. Now, let me tell you a little bit about what this card does, because I think that's important. All face-up monsters your opponent currently controls cannot be tributed. This is a quick effect, a quick play. So, you cannot use it for material. You cannot use cards for material for a fusion, synchro, Xyz, link. It is going to shut things down for your opponent. Now, again, this card is not seeing play, but you can't tell me that a card like this will never see play. There will be a time when this card sees play. You're going to have a play set of it all ready to go. Maybe you're going to play it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you trade it. Maybe you sell it for what you need. But whenever this card sees play, you're not going to be moving this card for $5. You're going to be moving it for $15, $20, $25 because it's a very good card. First edition, secret, rare. Buy Spellbound now so that you have it. There's not a whole lot of risk involved in this card. When we're talking about risk versus reward, we're talking about how far can the card fall. It can't fall a whole lot more than this, but the reward is how high can the card go, and the card can go pretty high. So it's also in a set that's going to probably hold value for quite a while. If you want to buy a box of Darkwing Blast at this point, you're probably looking at $80, $90, maybe even $100. That's an expensive box. So, keep that in mind. There's a lot of factors that go into play of cards that could or probably should be a lot more than what they are right now. Spellbound is one of those cards. So I'm going to move on to the next card up here. And the next card is Weight Bridge out of Photon Hypernova. So this is a brand new card out of the new set right here. Once again, coming in first edition, secret rare. That matters. Now, this card is pretty cheap right now. So what you're looking at here is somewhere around $4, $4.50, something like that. If I were you, $4.50, I would get my playset and I would be done with it, and I would have this card. This is kind of like an evenly matched. Not as good, give you that. I'm not claiming it's nearly as good as evenly matched. Doesn't get rid of all the cards on the board, but it does get rid of the monsters. This is a good card. This can see some real play. Let me read to you what it says. If your opponent controls 2 or more monsters than you do, your opponent must send monsters they control to the graveyard so that they only control 1 monster. You can see the tie between this and evenly matched. Again, not as good. It doesn't get rid of the spells and traps. Just gets rid of the monsters, but still a very good card for $4.50. You couldn't touch evenly matched first edition secret rare for this price. I think this is a card you should be considering buying. Weight Bridge, very good card. So Moving on from there, we move to the next card, which is a card that I just love. I talked about it in cards in one of the first videos we did. It was cards that nobody's talking about from Photon Hypernova. This is it, Sneaky C. It is a super rare out of Photon Hypernova. I think the C cards are cards that you want to have. I tried to have all of them in play sets. Look, you're looking at 50 cents. This is a super cheap card, and that's why I'm telling you to buy it and get it. The risk, there's no risk. You're talking about $1.50 for your playset and you're done. It's 50 cents on direct from TCG. So that tells you this is a pretty cheap card. But let me show you something down here, because people are starting to talk about this card. You can see that this card is starting to go up a little bit. Now, I know that the up is about 3 cents, but there is a little bit of a movement up. So it's not a bad card. It's a good card. Let me read it to you. When your opponent special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand in face down defense position. And if you do, during the end phase of this turn, change it to face up defense position. You can only use this once per turn. If this card, this is the good effect right here. If this card is flipped face up during the end phase, destroy all special summon monsters on the field. It's a pretty good card. If you're stuck, it can get you out of a jam. Again, the risk is very minimal. You're talking about 50 cents. I think it's a card you should have. All right, moving on from there is one of my favorite cards that everybody loves to hate on. I absolutely love this card. I think it's a great card. Draco Utopian Aurora. Again, we're talking about Power of the Elements, Secret Rare, First Edition. Now, Power of the Elements was given, another round, so there is an unlimited version of this. I recommend that you go for the first edition. Why? Because it's super cheap. If you give me the chance between first edition and unlimited, I'm going to take first edition all day long, particularly when it's so cheap. And so what we're looking at here, when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So you negate the activation and then destroy the card. Then you can apply the following effects. The following effects is you banish the monster, you banish one monster from your hand, and if you do, you special summon the monster that was destroyed and sent to the graveyard by this effect. But you negate its effects. But if you need a big monster, put this, you bring this up, you negate the effects, you destroy it, and then you get to, you banish a card from your hand, and then you get to special summon to your side that card. That's pretty good. I can't imagine that this card will not someday see play. I have kept probably 12 of this card because I like it so much. It's cheap, I know, but I think that it's a card that you should be buying. And what you're talking about here is, and you can see this card's just gone down, 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 all the way down. We're talking about, my gosh, you're talking about 75 cents. You get a playset for like under $3. And that's with shipping, because this is, over $5. Well, you have to find a way to get over $5. But it's a card you should buy. We're talking about super cheap cards that are way too cheap. They're all brand new cards. All right, the next card. I think this is one of the more expensive ones, but this is Gravekeepers Inscription. Again, first edition, secret rare from Photon Hypernova, an expensive set. This card, I'll read its effects to you, but at the start of the main phase, apply one of the following effects until the end of your opponent's turn. Neither player can activate card effects in the graveyard, or neither player can banish cards from the graveyard, or neither player can special summon monsters from their graveyard. We all know what this was. This was the antidote to Tearlaments. And when Tearlaments went down, this card went down in price as well, because nobody needed it, because Tearlaments was not really playable anymore. But this is still a really good card, and to be honest with you, all of these secret rares, but particularly these three, are absolutely beautiful cards. This Aurora, the Gravekeepers Inscription, and Spellbound are just magnificent cards. This is a good card, and this will find play again. Maybe not in this meta, but it will find play in another meta. Guaranteed. It's a little more money than the others that I recommended to you, but it is, you can pick up this card for about $7. $7 is what you're looking at on this card. I think the card is too cheap. I think $7 is too cheap for the card. So I think you should get a playset of that as well. The last card that I want to talk about, this is a card that is starting to see play. This is a card, and this is an example of what I'm talking about here. This is a card that's starting to see play. It's starting to go up. And so you may have missed the floor of this card, but I still think the card is too cheap for what it is. So I'm going to talk about it anyways. And that is the... bring it up here, the Destructive Daruma Karma Cannon. Now you can see, and what I want to show you on this little chart here is that you can see that this card was $2. This card was a $2 card. People were saying it's not a good card. When people say it's not a good card, when people say any of these cards are not good cards, understand what they're saying, or what they should be saying. And if they're not saying this, then let me just say they're dumb. Because we know. But what they should be saying is it's not a good card right now. That does not mean that it won't be a good card in the future. When this card came out, there were people who were super excited, but there were many people who were saying this card is not good. Well, this card is starting to see play. You can see that arc going from about $2 all the way up to $6.50. Now the card then again dropped back down, and now you're looking at about $4.50 on the card. But I think that the card has potential to go even higher than the $6.50 that it was. This is a card you should be buying. Have your playset, be done with it. I'll read what it says. It says, change as many monsters on the field as possible to face down defense position. Then, if either player controls a face-up monster, which is going to be a link, they must send all face-up monsters they control to the graveyard. This is a good card. And so, again, I think interpreting and understanding what people mean when they say this is not a good card or this is a good card, oftentimes what they're doing is they're talking about the current meta. This is not a good card in this meta. That does not mean that it will not be a good card in future metas. This is a good card. All of these cards are very good cards that will see play in a meta probably within the next year. They're going to see play at some point. So those are the 6 cards that I'm giving you. We're excited to be with you on YouTube. We love doing these. If you like what we're doing, hit that thumbs up like button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, don't forget about the giveaway. My name is Todd from Co2 Cards, and I am out of here.
From side.